Welcome back once again, everybody, to Banter Saga, our gaming podcast. Tim's with me here.
Welcome.
And as far as I know, unless he has discovered something, no corrections again this week.
Yeah, we're doing good. We are on top of our game. We are unstoppable.
Well, at least no one's telling us that.
That's true.
that there's things that we've gotten wrong. We're just not sure at the moment.
I feel like it's hard to be wrong when you're just picking games that you like on the last one.
Tim said he liked this game. He was wrong.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's definitely people. I'm sure people are going to be like, Legend of the Guy is not a hidden gem, and there's going to be other people like, what the fuck is that? You know,
I've never heard of this game.
So, maybe you want to
I've never heard of it, but it's not good.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
But what are you playing right now, or what are you working through, if
So,
anything?
As we left off last time, I said I was gonna definitely 100% have the perfect game on Resident Evil 7 for PC when I left you last time.
That's
I
right.
do not. I do not have the perfect game on PC right now. I'm still missing about 7 achievements because the difficulty of the DLC in that game is fucking ridiculous. Yeah.
A little bit tougher than you thought it was going to be.
Yeah, a little bit. It doesn't help that I'm also fucking terrible at the combat in that game, so that don't help.
I found, and I tell you, if you're not subscribed to any like curators with the Steam community, I suggest picking up a couple because man, every once in a while they knock it out of the park with their suggestions.
Yeah, I have a few.
I came across I don't say brand new. It's a couple of weeks old. I guess that's technically brand new. A little independent horror game called Light Blue.
Okay, I've never heard of it.
Yes, this is not one of those hidden gems. This game was atrocious.
Okay.
It ran like absolute dog shit. So
Fantastic.
There was that right off the top. But then once you kind of like tone down the settings a little bit and like work within the jank, it was just dull. Just
okay.
boring. Nothing happened. You'd be trying to find something on the map in like these dark, murky environments, and then a little girl would pop up and scare you, and you'd have to run away because it doesn't chase you. It just is in the area. So you'd have to run away and leave the place that you're trying to find something in until she goes, and then you can go back and look for the thing you need.
Okay. So it just kind of makes you walk back and forth.
Yeah, it just chases you away real quick. Like, go fuck off somewhere else. And then you can come back and play the game.
That's a little bit annoying. Like, I don't mind when things chase you, but if they just, like, make you leave the place you're trying to be and don't really pursue you, that's kind of annoying.
Yeah, no, it... as far as I could tell, anyway, she only popped up a couple of times, but she just stood there.
Okay.
And I'd be, like, looking at her. Like, are we gonna do something?
And then nothing would happen.
No? Okay, I guess I'll just walk out of the room. Okay. And then... Because the first time she wasn't doing anything, so I was like, okay, I'll just check a couple drawers. And I turned my back on her and she killed me, so I was like, okay, I guess I need to leave.
So, fun thing, there is one thing, I should probably bring it up at the end, but I just want to bring it up now. Phasmophobia just got an update, and Ghost can open doors now.
I saw that. Yeah, massive change log. They really, I guess, the one dev really put some work into to the balancing and fixes.
Yeah, so spoiler alert, that's going to be on my looking forward to play at the end, but I just wanted to bring that up now so I don't forget. So if I do forget later, there's that, everybody.
All right. Well, Tim, unfortunately, we have a difficult discussion ahead of us.
Yeah, it really is.
Well, hey,
it's an extremely subjective topic.
Did you see what I did there?
Yes, I did.
We're gonna be talking about how games handle their difficulty options. For me specifically, looking at going from normal to a higher difficulty as opposed to down, because down, making your game easy is like a piece of cake. Just
right.
like double up your health and ammo or whatever, but it's taking your regular game and adding some extra challenge that, man, I'll tell you what, like 90% of games just phone it in.
That's fair. That is a fair thing in games that provide you with a difficulty setting. They do generally just kind of manufacture the difficulty. And yeah, I will fully admit that. That's like 100% a thing, and most games do it. They don't really add a whole lot.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into this, but they really half-ass it when it comes to making a game harder.
Yes. Me and David are going to have probably differing ways of going about this because it's an extremely subjective topic and we're probably going to have some disagreements on certain things. But like overall, I think we both agree for the most part that difficulty could be handled better.
So I'll ask, where do you want to start? Do you want to start with good examples or do you want to start with bad examples?
Honestly, let's go ahead and start with the bad stuff, and we'll end it on a good note.
All right, bad examples. I have the entire first-person shooter genre.
Okay, I mean, I cannot disagree.
I'm sure there are a couple of examples. I actually know of one, but I haven't played that difficulty, so I'm not exactly sure how it works. But man, oh man, it's like there's a template. You make your first-person shooter game on normal, and then you pass it off to one guy who sits in the corner and just multiplies all of the damage and raises all of the health for every enemy, and that's all they do.
Yeah, I would say, even outside of first-person shooters, that's generally what you're going to expect when you increase the difficulty. They don't usually change anything mechanically, and I think first-person shooters are the, let's just say Call of Duty in this instance, they're the worst example of this, because, in other games, technically speaking, if it's a game that has, actual mechanics, you can kind of, get around the difficulty by just getting better at the game. With most FPS games, there's not really any getting better per se. It's just you shoot things, but they throw 7 million things at you at once, so you just gotta not get hit. And
it's almost like you need to play the game once in order to learn it, like the level layouts and everything, or else you're just gonna run in and die a bunch of times.
Yeah, and it doesn't even matter,
I guess if you want
sometimes,
to do that.
because sometimes they just especially in the big shootouts where there's literally 70 enemies on the screen. And I'm looking way back here. Okay, Medal of Honor, fucking I think it was Rising Sun. Okay, if you turn that shit up to maximum difficulty when you are storming the beach at Normandy, you literally cannot get hit or you will die. And
front line.
Yeah, it is front line. You're right.
Line.
Okay, yeah, it's been a minute, but you literally cannot get hit once or you fucking die. And that's horseshit because you literally cannot dodge every bullet. So you just got to pray for that one run where you somehow make it through unscathed, and there's no real way to mitigate it.
There's no mechanic, or even if you want to cheese your way through the campaign, there's no way to mitigate incoming damage.
Yeah.
The game's almost designed where you're going to take some hits.
That's the horseshit that I get angry about, because there's literally nothing you can do to be better to get around the difficulty, and that's the kind of difficulty that I don't like. If there's mechanics I can use to make the difficulty work, I'm cool with it. But the moment it becomes just 100% luck, fuck you.
And so I was thinking about how you could change things within first-person shooters to kind of make a higher difficulty more interesting.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't up the damage. You probably should have a little bit extra damage. Yeah. Not, wild amounts of extra damage.
Right, just
but
not one hit kill,
Right. You should be taking more damage than the higher difficulty. But I was thinking of a couple of things that would be really interesting to do within a first-person shooter. So imagine this.
Okay.
On normal, it's just like a regular first-person shooter.
Right.
But on a higher, or I guess the highest difficulty, I don't know how granular you want to get with this. Imagine if you reload a half clip, you lose those bullets.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that
So
would
you got a
actually
30
be...
clip, you shoot, 4 or 5 bullets, and you just do the reload like, is instinctual.
Right, I would be fucked.
And then you lose, you drop that clip and you lose those bullets.
Yeah, I actually love that idea. I cannot tell a lie. Like, that's very mechanically interesting too, and it like requires you to play optimally. And that is what difficulty should be. It should require you to play optimally.
I do know of a few games, a few like more simulation games where they're trying to be realistic that do that.
Okay.
I've seen it done before. In fact, Alien Swarm, and I'm not saying Alien Swarm is realistic, but Alien Swarm is a game that I know if you reload halfway through, you're going to lose those bullets and you will just burn through your ammo super quickly.
Really? That's what happened. Oh my god, I had no idea. I never even noticed.
Oh, really?
No, I didn't play for very long because we just did it for one video, but holy shit, I never even noticed that. That's why we got wrecked.
Yeah, probably, actually.
Yeah, because like literally every counter in every game, I will reload the moment there's no enemies on screen.
It doesn't matter how many bullets are left.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing I thought of, which apparently Black Mesa actually does.
Okay.
I haven't played on the highest difficulty, so I don't know what changes. But imagine if playing on a higher difficulty actually changed the enemy's AI.
Yeah, see, that is something that I am all for, and I wish every fucking game did that 100%.
Yeah. Now, I get it. That's going to be extra dev time.
Yeah, like big time.
But here's a way you could work around that, is imagine programming everybody for the highest difficulty and then removing features for normal and easy.
That would make it much more easy. You are correct. Yeah. It's a great idea.
Because I've heard that on Black Mesa, so if you're playing on normal difficulty, the AI is similar, not exact, but it's very similar to the original Half-Life.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you play on Black Mesa, the Black Mesa difficulty, it unlocks kind of the new refurbished AI that the team worked on and put in the game and everyone bitched about. So now they have it as just a difficulty option instead of completely reworking all of the enemy AI.
Yeah, I love that idea. Just like, you have enemies, it's not a great example, but like, even just like with games like Time Crisis, your red guys were the ones that could actually hit you. Versus, the yellow guys can hit you sometimes and all that good stuff. Like everything was color coded. That was
you had to prioritize.
Yeah, so you prioritize targets. Whereas like in a game like this, you could have, like let's say, you have different types of units per se, and like, let's say you got some type of guard you're going after. Some of them are a little more, let's say, grenade happy than others, and some of them, like to use stealth and try to sneak up on you and shit. Whereas in normal, they don't do that.
Yeah, that definitely. And Half-Life and Black Mesa does have that a little bit. Like the commanding officers are allowed to use the grenade launcher where the regular grunts are not.
Yeah.
But no, that I could see that being something that, imagine you think, oh, this isn't much of a challenge, so you tick up the difficulty, midway playing through, and all of a sudden the enemies just become master tacticians and are like flanking you out of every hiding space you thought you had.
Yeah, and there's a fucking sniper hidden somewhere on the map, and you're like, what the fuck?
Just spawn suppressing fire that wasn't there before.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. Like that would make a first-person shooter for me, like for real. I would be playing that all day. I'd be all about that.
So since I feel like these things aren't like revolutionary,
no.
If you do happen to know of a game that does these things, please let us know, because I'd be interested to see them in action.
Yeah, because like it's a great idea, and I can't say that I've necessarily played anything like that right off the top of my head, and I like that idea a lot.
But Tim, what have you brought forth for
So,
poor
okay, so for my
difficulties.
bad example of difficulty, I'm going more based on like, so a specific game that pisses me off. But here's your setup, right? We got the game Battle Hunter, right? It's a great fucking time
Okay.
when you're playing
Very
with your
familiar.
boys. Okay, it's a good time when you're playing with your friends, right? But, right, so in this game, the objective when you're playing single player is to get a specific item or to get to a specific target and then get to the exit before one of the other AI controlled players does the same, right? Seems pretty simple.
I feel like, I mean, the gameplay will obviously be on the screen, but I feel like we should clarify that this takes place on a board.
Yeah, it
So
all
it's not
takes
like
place
a level
on a board.
You have squares and a grid that you have to move to.
Right, and everything that the amount you can move is based on random card draws and your speed stat. Now, I'm not gonna shit on games with like randomness because some randomness is fine. This game is 100% randomness. Okay, there is no way to mitigate anything. It is just random, and you can't strategize in this game because even the item placements are in crates, so you don't know what the fuck's in any crate. So even if you strategize to get to a specific crate first, whatever's in it is random, so it might not be the item you're looking for. Whereas, let's say your opponent could just spawn in right next to a crate that has the item, and then the exits to his left, like one space. Okay,
Which I don't know about that extreme, but has definitely happened to us before when
Yeah.
we were playing.
yeah, and like there's a specific mission that I just always end up quitting the game when I'm playing first. It's just literally the second mission in the game. I'm always like, oh man, I like this game, and then I play the second mission and I hate it because you have to get to this patient before the other people, and you don't even have to get to the exit, you just have to get to the patient first, right? Every fucking time you're gonna have to save the game right before this because literally I have never not started this mission and had the enemy fucking unit start literally 5 spaces from the goddamn person. Yeah, it's so fucking annoying. So my example is basically just anything that is 100% luck based. And like, I'm not talking about roguelites because roguelites are very skill based games. They have a luck element, but you can mitigate that if you know what the fuck you're doing. I'm talking about games that are just 100% random. And that's bad difficulty in my opinion.
Usually in a roguelike, it's really only the level that's random, whereas like the mechanics are pretty straightforward and you can work within.
Right, and like you can
But, yeah,
get
something-
random items in a lot of roguelites too, but as long as you know how to maximize the use of said item, nothing is ever necessarily bad. It might not be as good as something else, but if you know how to use it, you can still get through. It's just learning all of those mechanics that's the difficulty of the game, and I have no issue with that at all.
But yeah, imagine like you're playing The Binding of Isaac and you spawn into a room that has no doors. That's what Battle Hunter's like
Yeah,
sometimes.
that's literally what this game can be. And yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And I know a lot of people haven't played this game, so it's probably not the best example, but it is one of the best examples of random difficulty absolutely pissing me off. It's not even necessarily
It's just
hard.
everything.
It's just
Everything's random.
100% random. And yeah, it's not even like, even if you spawned right next to the item, the battles are 100% random too. So if someone walks up on you and rolls good, your ass is dead, and there's no way to mitigate it.
There's no way to counteract.
Yeah. So like, it is a 100% random difficulty, and that is my example of what is 100% the worst type of difficulty, in my opinion. Just that absolute 100%. You can't do nothing. There's not really mechanics you can use to make things better for yourself. You just gotta pray.
So what would you do? What would you do to fix Battle Hunter specifically? Since you
so
brought it up,
If I
without
were going to
kind
fix
of like
Battle
changing the
Hunter,
game too much.
so let's think Slay the Spire, right? So Slay the Spire is a perfect example of a card-based game. Everything is balanced, and if you build your deck properly, you mitigate a lot of that issue you have with luck, but you have to really build your deck because, obviously you're going to be drawing random cards. So it's a lot like Magic the Gathering where you need to think about really what your deck does and build from there. They could do a similar system for a game like Battle Hunter where you actually build out the cards in your hand so you can make your character viable in specific situations.
I see. So your character would keep a deck instead of just being dealt cards every time.
And then you could actually, instead of having a character that's 100%, random, you now have a guy who's very good in battle, or you have a guy who's really good at move, or you have a balanced character, and you can balance your deck out. I don't know if it'd necessarily work with the way they do it with just random numbers, but like something like that kind of system would at least mitigate some of the problem. And then maybe go ahead.
Do you think you could do it with the cards that are currently in Battle Hunter, or would you have to kind of overhaul that system?
So I think the system would probably have to be overhauled because like you basically have attack, move, and defense cards. There's also trap cards, which are also 100% random because you just put them on a random space and hope someone steps on it, even though they can see you put the fucking trap down.
Yeah.
So
and then there's no marker.
Yeah.
So you might forget you put it somewhere.
Right, and then you can land on your own trap. Which I don't have an issue with that. Like if you step on your own trap, that's on you, whatever. But like there should at least be a marker for you. Which that's another thing they could do to like mitigate that problem. But there would probably have to be an overhaul to the system that's in place. Maybe something that's a little bit more focused. Because, like, you can get cards between 1 and 6 for attack, defense, and move. And, like, I guess technically speaking, if you built around that, like, you could... If you chose, like, certain numbers, like, let's say you chose to get a 6 move, you can no longer get a 6 in damage or a 6 in defense. Stuff like that, and you can kind of build around that. So you might be able to do something with that to make it a little less random, I would imagine.
Maybe like a cost system where,
That's a good idea.
Those cards would cost a lot, and if you put a couple of those in there, your wallet would decrease, so you'd have to fill it out with
That's actually a good idea.
Cards.
They could actually build around that, because like the system's already stat-based, so like if they made the cards cost something as well to make like a deck...
Oh, yeah, you could use up your stats. That would be...
Yeah. So I think that could work, too. Instead of being necessarily 100% just, it's all going to stats. You can build out your deck that way.
Someone like, remake Battle Hunter with this. Because I'm sure that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a fun time when you're playing with your friends, because the game's goofy as fuck. But, like...
Yeah. It's
just... annoying to play by yourself because it is just awful. Like the randomness is just terrible, and like I'm remiss to say that I can't even think of a way to fix. Like they would have to completely change how objectives work, I think, in order to make it like semi-fair, or maybe have all the items spawn in like, a specific location and make everyone equidistant from said location, something to decrease the bullshittery in that factor.
Yeah, maybe without having to figure out where people are going on the board, maybe just make the boards less wonky, because hardly any of them are just like square or even...
Yeah, there's always like random
the same size. Yeah, there's holes and paths and little spindly doodads that go nowhere.
Yeah. So there's a lot you could do to fix this game and make it better, to where it would probably resemble the game in a way, but I don't think it would be anywhere near the same game when you were done, just because there's so much work that needs to be done to make that particular style of difficulty good. Yeah.
Should have been a sequel.
So
could have been able to fix all of that in Battle Hunter 2.
Yeah, David's most angry about inflated stats. I am angry about 100% random. Okay.
Random.
Yes. And don't get me wrong,
said,
I'm also not a huge fan of just inflated stats, but it's at least, workable.
Yeah, I mean, it might necessarily be the most fun, but, at least it's not just bullshit.
Yeah.
Most of the time. Sometimes it can be bullshit.
Right. Yeah, sometimes it can be.
But like Tim said, let's go out on a positive note.
Yes.
We're going to talk about good examples of difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
And my good example is actually, Tim, probably something I don't think you're going to see coming.
Okay.
And this one really only applies to the later games in the series because early on they didn't really have difficulty.
Okay.
And then later on you could select a difficulty, but the last few games in the series, there was no difficulty, but you had your objectives. The objectives it gave you were tiered.
Okay.
So you could do this to be easy, or you could do a little bit more for it to be a little bit more difficult, or you could go all out and do like the biggest, like most difficult thing you could do for the top tier award. I'm talking about Tony Hawk.
Okay. Yeah. I can see
The
this.
Tony Hawk games. Because like I said, early on, there wasn't really difficulty. You just had the objectives, and like some of them were more difficult, but it's not like you got to choose.
Right.
The middle games, so like Underground through American Wasteland, I think. Yeah, probably. Because I don't remember. I have to go back and look. I don't remember 4 having difficulty, so it'd be like Underground through American Wasteland, where you could choose amateur, pro, or sick to play through the game as, and it would change the goals. You'd have to do a little bit more.
Right.
But starting with Project 8, there was no difficulty, but every goal gave you an amateur, it gave you a pro, and it gave you a sick goal to try and do.
Which is awesome.
So the amateur goal would be like, just do a flip trick over this gap. Okay, that's super easy, no problem. And then the pro goal would be like, do this specific flip trick with a spin and maybe a score. Like, okay, yeah, that's a lot more difficult.
Yes.
And then the sick goal would be like, do this specific trick that's like a double tap, so it takes more inputs, with a spin and get like a monster combo in a time limit, and you can't extend the timer like you could in the older games. It's like, fuck.
Yeah.
Some of those sick goals in like Project 8 specifically are absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't even know if I managed to pull off any of those, to be honest with you. I may have pulled off like 1 or 2. And I'm glad we both, and I'm going to say this right now, we both have chosen what I'm going to refer to as designed difficulty as the method of how we
example?
like our difficulty. Because
I think
it's very mechanic based, and I like it.
If anything, and I mean, I understand you can't really do this with the vast majority of games.
Right.
I don't know how you would give, say, a first-person shooter a selected difficulty as you're playing.
It's true.
But just no, the way that they handled it. I mean, I'm kind of sad it took them so long because only the last 2 games really do that. But just they give you a goal. How difficult do you want to make it? Well, let's try for this one. And if that one's too difficult, then maybe you can just do the pro.
Right.
And if
but
you're not that good yet, you can start on all the
gives you
AMs.
something to shoot for, and that's
right.
great,
Exactly.
And like once you've done it, you're gonna feel super accomplished.
Yeah. Unless, because bringing it back to your point, Project 8 has a few, maybe not entirely luck-based things, but man, you really got to game the system to get sick on a few of those.
Yeah, like I'm sure there's people out there that can do it no problem, but like I was never that good at those games. Like I can be decent, don't get me wrong, but like I'm not a master of those games in any way, shape, or form.
Especially because in Project 8, there's a lot of goals that aren't skating. So you have to do things outside of skateboarding, and it's like, why is this in the game? This is stupid.
It's fair.
But yeah, so Tony Hawk, really, really appreciate their approach to making their games more difficult.
Yeah, and I always enjoyed that because, like, especially even in the older ones, there's some people out there that claim, like, oh my god, those are some of the most unfairly difficult games ever. There's a few.
You mean like the PS1 games?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I disagree completely because,
those people
like,
need to get good.
First off, it doesn't force you into doing really anything. All you gotta do is play, like, the most basic shit to unlock the levels in the game. You know, you can unlock
Yeah.
some other things. But, like, it never forces you to really do anything. And, like, all you have to do is get better at the game to do those things. Like, it's not like it's unfair. You just need to learn how to play the fucking game.
Yeah, they're not going around, changing the timing on, launching off of a half pipe or something.
Yeah.
It all stays
would be
consistent.
fucking
You just need to
hilarious.
do it.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine.
Like, all you have to do is learn the combos and then learn to balance yourself, and you're good. It's really
Yeah.
not that complicated. Like, it's a very simplistic, really. It's just you have to be good at it.
I mean, even outside of like actual like getting the high scores for like the various goals, the worst goals in those games, too specifically, are the ones where you have to like hunt for something in the level because you're just skating around. It's like where the fuck is it?
Yeah, like finding skate, you know?
Yeah,
and
skate. Or
I
Ollie
guess,
magic bomb.
the time limit, but like, just do another fucking run, and once you know where
Yeah.
everything's at, you're good.
It's what? It's 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's
you're
2
gonna get
minutes.
upset about 2 minutes.
Right? You know? It's
Come
not like you've
on.
wasted your entire life. You do 5 runs, and then you play through it once, and you've wasted 12 minutes, and you've done it. Wow, good job. I'm just saying.
All right, though. So if design difficulty is the common thread between our good examples, Tim,
Mm-hmm.
what have you brought us?
So, David, you might disagree.
Oh, wait, hold on.
with
First of
me
all,
here. Mhm.
does this game? Can you select a different difficulty in this game?
No.
I know what it is,
Can you tell me what it is?
but please continue.
The game or series that I am referring to is Dark Souls.
There it is.
Yeah, 100%. I think that this particular series has handled difficulty better than any other series in quite a while, really. There are people that will call it unfair. It is certainly unforgiving. I'll give it that. It's not unfair in any way, shape, or form. The game kind of just throws you in and lets you learn how to play from the get-go, and you can really go anywhere or do anything you want right out the gate, and you'll quickly find that, certain things aren't necessarily going to work out the way you want, but, like, as you play, like, let's say you do find, like, what they've set up as the correct path to play. You're probably not going to find it right away, but if you do find that path, you're gonna learn all your basic mechanics on relatively easy enemies, and after you've learned all these basic mechanics, they're gonna start, as you progress through these areas, they're gonna start throwing enemies that work a lot differently at you, and you're gonna have to learn how to use those mechanics to defeat these enemies, and the whole game's just kind of a learning process for the mechanics of this game. And as you figure out those mechanics, the game becomes easier and easier and easier. So it's kind of like reverse difficulty in a way. Like, don't get me wrong, the boss fights, they are, at least some of them, are still extremely challenging once you've figured out how to work around the mechanics, and like, you need to sit there and you need to figure out how these enemies work. Like, you have to study them, and like, you can sit there and watch them move and see how they attack and all this and be safe, for the most part. There's a couple enemies that when you're learning their patterns and how they operate, you're gonna probably want to get the hell out of there instead of just letting them wail on you. But for the most part, I think that this game in particular, or these games, I should say, do a very good job at being difficult, challenging, and also just remaining super fucking fun, because you're always figuring something new out as you're progressing through the game, and it's just great. Like, it starts off a lot harder, and like I said, you're gonna have moments where you're gonna want to break your fucking controller in half, but it is never at any moment unfair, ever, and it is 100% mechanically driven, and I fucking love it.
Yeah. See, I don't think I could necessarily disagree with that. If only because I've not played any of these games.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not up your alley. I think you might enjoy it to an extent, but I don't know that you would play through the entire series.
I have played Bloodborne
Yeah.
on the PS4, obviously, and I don't know if it was like I got it early and maybe there was a patch, or maybe I'm just more sensitive to it or something, but there was some like really bad input lag
Okay.
when I was
Yeah.
going through, and it felt really soupy.
Now, to be fair, you are used to playing games on PC, so that could have something to do with it. I never had any massive issues with it, but I do think that the controls definitely felt a little more wonky in Bloodborne compared to like Dark Souls. I think Dark Souls is a lot more polished than Bloodborne. Bloodborne's got a
Okay.
cooler like lore to it, but overall controls and like just consistently good flow, I would give to Dark Souls.
I know Dark Souls did make it over to PC, so maybe I'll give it a try sometime.
It's not bad. I mean, honestly, it's usually like $5 on sale these days, so it's worth a shot. Yeah. But these games, 100%, I think, are just a fine example of how one bakes difficulty into your game, and like I would also throw roguelites into this because they're designed to be difficult without ever necessarily being unfair to the player. It's like a learning curve, and as you learn, you get better and better and better. It's kind of like how Tony Hawk works. As you learn the mechanics, you're going to get better and you're going to be able to do more amazing things as you continue through your little journey.
Yeah, roguelite, though, that's definitely a genre that I'm not into.
Yeah, no, I got you. Yeah, I love those kind of games. I understand completely when people don't like them. I get it. But like, I absolutely love those kind of games. And they are 100% a time sink. I don't think Dark Souls is necessarily like a time sink, especially for someone like you. You'd probably have it figured out relatively quickly and probably beat the game soon-ish. I wouldn't say it's going to be like, you're going to walk into it and just steamroll the thing, but I think you'd figure it out a lot faster than your
put a couple
average
hours
player.
into it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it looks like we have a little bit of a shorter episode on our hands this week, but that's okay. As always, Tim, is there anything you're looking forward to playing?
I am looking forward to one game specifically. I still haven't played The Room 4. I think I've brought this up on every episode so far, but
okay. You need to put a pause on Resident Evil 7 because next week you better say you're playing The Room 4 when we start.
I know. I gotta play that game. I have to get this perfect game. Like, this game's pissing me off. I need it. Okay. So once I beat it, I'm gonna feel elated. But there is one other game I'm very much looking forward to playing, and that is Loop Hero.
Oh yeah, I saw you guys talking about
my
this.
Goodness. Yeah, it's like a little indie darling, because like I was checking it out because like everyone was checking out the demo on like Twitch and YouTube. So I checked that out and I was like, oh man, hell yeah. And oh my god, this game. It's like a deck builder auto battler. I guess if you want to describe it that way, I guess that's probably the best way to describe it. And it's fucking awesome. Basically, like
is
go
it
ahead.
out?
It is out.
It out?
It is officially
It's
out.
currently
now.
out.
Yes.
Okay.
I think it might be on sale. It might still be on sale when this comes out. But it's only like $15, so it's not really expensive, so it's totally worth it. But basically you're like this knight, and then there's classes that you can choose from, but we'll just say you're a knight. And then basically there's this little generated loop. It's like a pixel art loop. And your guy walks around that, and as you progress, you actually put down the buildings and the spawners. And then every time you make a loop, that's a day, and you can keep going, or you can rest at camp to like stock up your shit and like upgrade stuff, and it's just really cool.
It looks like, it almost looks like that that game from DreadX with the cards. where you had to escape in 9 turns or whatever.
Yeah, actually, it's got a very similar
bit.
art style, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it's a lot more advanced than that. And like I said, you don't really necessarily control your character. You control the layout. And then like you can equip armors and stuff to your character and like special items and stuff. But you actually control the layout of the world, and your character kind of does everything themselves.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
I am very much looking forward to Portal 3.
Oh, excuse me?
Nope, that's a lie. Don't.
Oh, David,
no,
why would you do that to me?
But there is a mod coming out next month from when we're recording this. It'll be out in April, called Portal Reloaded.
Okay.
And you actually have 3 portals. You have your red and blue portals that you use to link space together, just like the normal games. But then there's a third portal that I believe you can control. I don't think it's just in the environment. I think the portal gun gains the ability to shoot a third portal.
Mm-hmm.
And the portal links past and present futures, or present and future versions of the test chamber that you can interact with.
What in the fuck?
So you can say, you put this portal down, and if you pick up an object in the present and move it to the future, you only get 1, because obviously that one wasn't there anymore to be old in the future.
Yeah.
But if you go to the future and bring back the old cube, now you can have 2 cubes because you brought it back to the present.
What in the fuck? That sounds so much more complicated. I love the idea. I do.
The trailer is absolutely bananas, but it looks like it's going to be a good time.
Yeah, no, I can get into that, because like I love Portal, and like making it even more difficult with the puzzles just sounds like a good time to me. Speaking of puzzles, I will let you know by the way, it comes out. Puzzles are also just fun.
Oh yeah, puzzle games? Yes. Absolutely.
As long as you don't get too obtuse, puzzle games are amazing.
Like The Room 4.
Yes. I will play it eventually, I promise.
Well, hopefully you'll play it by the time the next one of these goes up. But for the meantime, that's all we have for you this time. Thank you for listening to us ramble on about all of our problems with these games. If you have any difficult objections, or if you have something you want to tell us, comments, that'll work. Pick a thumb and let us know how this video was, and we'll see you next time.
Good day, everyone.